Hello. This airing of Face to Face with the Spotlight is in conjunction with the Spotlight newspaper, a beacon of news for the Southeast region of Saline County. The Spotlight distributes on the third Thursday of each month for free. You can also sign up for a digital copy on the Spotlight Facebook page. Face to Face in the Spotlight and the Spotlight newspaper are supported by local advertising, including Frisbee Construction. George Frisbee started Frisbee Construction in 1949. His goal was to build quality projects at a fair price to his customers. George's family still runs Frisbee Construction with this same motto. Frisbee Construction wants to thank all of their customers for allowing them to work with you. Communication through the Spotlight is also supported by McKim Service, owned by Rob and Alicia McKim in Gypsum, Kansas. Service technicians at McKim Service include Rob McKim and Vernon Cathy, and they will repair all makes and models of vehicles. McKim Service is a major repair shop as far as major mechanical and electrical repair. He and Vernon work on transmission repair, heating and cooling issues, brakes and suspensions, and any electrical repair. Additional businesses worthy of appreciation include Ad Astra Books and Coffee House, the Citizen State Bank and Trust Company, Nelson Green Line, Hobbs Creek Veterinary Services, the Saline County Farm Bureau, All American Sales, the Appliance Center, and K4 Garage, all businesses and organizations with roots in the Southeast region of Saline County. My name is Leslie Manning, publisher and owner of the Spotlight newspaper. Today I invited guests so that we could approach a topic that I think could be quite vulnerable. It just seems to me that in the midst of managing the challenges that have come with COVID-19, there is a particular demographic that may need some relief too. And I think that group is parents. And personally, I want to validate the efforts that parents have put into the last 2 months during COVID-19 stay-at-home orders. And they've been motivating and monitoring and supporting the continuous learning plan as their students have been learning from home. And I notice the challenges parents have faced, and I can see that there are challenges that lie ahead for them as we enter into the summer months after those 2 months of continuous learning from home. And I want badly for parents, especially in the Southeast region of Saline County, to feel supported and be aware of the opportunities that they can access to empower themselves. And so to me, it seems that we are especially blessed in the Southeast region of Saline County to have professionals whose hearts and minds are wrapped around similar sentiments daily. And I am happy to introduce Linnell Keeler, the coordinator and parent educator for USD 306 Parents as Teachers, and Lori Blake, the executive director of Child Advocacy and Parenting Services, Inc., which we often call CAPS. So thank you, ladies, for being on the show today and approaching this topic of parenting.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So I have a few questions that I want to ask, and then I want to give each of you a chance to field each one. And the first question that I thought of is, as you are engaging in the community through your professions, and even as just community members, Linnell, you live outside of Gypsum, and Lori's in Assyria. So, I mean, we have neighbors and we talk with each other. So what are you hearing parents communicating as we start into 3 months of summer break? Linnell?
Biggest concerns I have heard during this whole pandemic period and now going into summer is everyone in the house has their own needs. And so parents are having to come up with some type of a schedule so that they could do online learning with the elementary children, activities with the little ones so that they could keep them on track. And then a lot of times the parents needed their own time because they were also working from home. So those were the biggest concerns. And with summer coming on now, they won't have the online learning, but they do have their elementary children that in the past had baseball games, baseball practices, summer youth program, gymnastics classes. Right now, all that's up in the air. They don't know what they're doing. childcare options. They don't know for sure what they're going to do with those elementary kids if parents are called back to work, and some have been called back to work now. So those kids are just being shuffled between grandparents or a neighbor, that type of thing. Most of the preschoolers that I do the visits with, the infants, toddlers, and preschoolers, have some type of childcare set up that hopefully is still able to operate right now when parents are being called back to work. So those are probably the biggest concerns that I'm hearing.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is that some of these activities that have occupied the time of elementary age children and younger children at that are now up in the air, and we don't know if they're going to happen. And so what do you do with all that time? Is that
Yes.
okay? Thank you, Linnell. Lori, what are you hearing as concerns from parents that you are talking with?
I think a lot of the same things that Linnell spoke about. The greatest fear, I think, now moving into the next 3 months is, what am I going to do with my kids? If I'm going back to work again, those childcare issues, all of the child programming that we used to have available to us in the community is so up in the air. Like Linnell mentioned, I know the YMCA is doing some limited school-aged programming, but a lot of the school-age programming in our communities have been canceled, like the Assaria Summer Youth Program and the Gypsum Summer Youth Program that were planned for kiddos that are school-age won't be happening. I do know that there's some baseball and softball activities that are available, so then it would be up to the parents to make those decisions. Is it safe for my child to play sports this summer and be outside with kids, and all of the rules about social distancing and the things that are on our minds. I just think that access to that programming really has changed things. And then what do we do in a time where we want to limit screen time and we want to make sure that our kids are staying physically active? How do you do that and provide adequate supervision if you're working and at home and you're not able to be outside with young children? So those are a lot of the concerns that we're hearing. As a professional in a world where child advocacy is at the center of everything that we do, CAPS is really concerned about the loss of the normal safety net and what that looks like in our communities. So our teachers that work with kids and our educators that work with kids every single day, they're watching for indicators that something's not quite right at home, whether that be physical abuse or maybe socially emotional needs that children have to get them connected to therapists, or intervene with academic struggles that kids are having. All of those things our educators are doing during the school year. And I just looked up yesterday, our Saline County statistics for child abuse reporting has drastically changed. In February, we had 184 children in Saline, or reports of child abuse in Saline County. In March, that decreased to 104. And in April, we were down to 88 reports. So that is clearly defining that that loss of that safety net is impacting our homes, I guess, or impacting children and having somebody that's watching out for them, because that trend, that 184 is a normal number throughout the course of the year. It's not like that was the highest number over the last 12 months. So we're preparing to respond to that. And I think that families and neighborhoods need to talk about that. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about what we can do, but that's what we're hearing and things that we're thinking about as professionals every day here at CAPS.
Real quick, I want to talk briefly about one of our sponsors, and that is Tri-Valley Seed. Justin Knopf, owner of Tri-Valley Seed, and Garrett Kennedy are working hard to make sure seed is available to farmers. Tri-Valley Seed offers Pioneer brand seed product, and when they say with you from the word go, that includes being with you when issues arise that are important to the community. Tri-Valley Seed supports the relationships it takes to sustain community. So coming back, Lori, to where you and I just left off, how have you found yourself and CAPS responding to some of these concerns? And then what would you encourage community members to do in response to parents during this time so that we are validating each other's efforts? What are you all talking about and thinking?
Yeah. We have encouraged our staff to just continue to be that emotional support, maybe not focus so much on the parenting education and development of new parenting skills, but really just talking about, we need to make routines for kids. Predictability is so important for children and families, so they know what to expect, all of us included. So we know what to expect for each other, and we can respect the time and the energy that we all need to make a day happen. So just reaching out in that way has been important. But also in my volunteer capacity on the school board, one of the things we talked about was continuing to provide stability for our families, not only our teachers, but also through the school lunch program. And that has been a really neat thing to observe. I live behind the city building, which is where the lunches are delivered in this area. And it's so awesome from 11 to 12:30 to see Doug Forsberg out there sitting there delivering lunches and being able to just have conversation with parents and children. And he has shared with me what a spark that's been in his daily life, just to have that interaction with other humans. And so we're lucky that we're able to continue and provide that through June 30th, thanks to the federal government and the USDA school lunch program, that's available universally, whether you're at need financially or not. So those kinds of things is looking for those opportunities to still be together in a safe way, to be outside together as a family and provide that support to one another is really what we've been focusing on.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because as you talk about providing structure in a daily routine, that hour and a half of time, that has been a part of families' daily structure, is going to get lunches around. In my area, it's in downtown Gypsum, but
Yeah.
I've seen the southeast of Saline Suburban at the fire station in Mentor, and I know they're in KIPP too. And so that's one thing that every day during the week families can count on, is that timing and that structure and that stability. And so I think that was a really important thing to mention, as it is providing some sort of resource in the community that not only provides food, but does provide a little bit of emotional, social support. Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
Linnell, how have you found yourself responding to these concerns, and what would you say to community members so that we're all kind of responding in the same way and validating the efforts of parents?
One of the first things that we talked about when I first set up Zoom meetings with the families was that so many of them were just feeling so out of sorts. And I was feeling out of sorts. Everything that I had marked in my calendar that was coming up was gone. And I actually empathized with them, and I told them I'm feeling out of sorts too. And I just took white out and went through my whole month of April and just took it off. I mean, nothing made sense anymore that was scheduled. And several of them at home started making out just a daily schedule of how they were going to do things. And when they got back with me 2 weeks later, they said, what a difference that made, because everybody in the family knew what time we're getting up, what we're doing next, and along with that schedule was going to get lunch, because they said, we don't really need that extra help, but we need that outing. We need that on our schedule to go down and get the lunches. But that's what their schedule is at school too. They have lunchtime. Um, I also talked to them about the things that are online that, for instance, the Gypsum Library Facebook page. We have been posting a story and a finger play every week on there. And I encourage my parents to do that. The story is a YouTube video that has already been recorded. Sometimes it's by the author, sometimes it's by another librarian. But parents and children can get onto that. Dolly Parton has a Thursday evening bedtime story, and those are all recorded, so they can go back and look at those. I have one family that told me that that is such a part of their routine that they find a different story every night that their little boy is able to see before he goes to bed. And he has some favorite stories now that they go back and do. So really, I've just really encouraged what I knew was available. At one point, it was around Easter time, I found an online recipe for some puff paint, and I sent it out to all the families that I was visiting that week. And they sent me pictures back of their puff paint that they'd made and what they had painted. So just try to get families involved with things that I know are available, and let them know what is going on. We don't have story time right now like we usually have at the library, but we do have some stories that they can look at online. So right now, the big push has been screen time.
So what I also hear you saying is that, you know, as community members, one of the big ways we can respond is by having empathy, by realizing that this has really affected all of us, and that there is a place where we can understand how parents are feeling right now, because there's probably that feeling in us, and to acknowledge those emotions with empathy. And then there are some resources available online that, if people are aware of them, that might be something that we can share too.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you, Linnell. I want to take a minute and briefly share about Waddles Heating and Cooling in Salina. Waddles Heating and Cooling, the local Carrier factory authorized dealer, has met all the requirements specified by Carrier regarding customer satisfaction, professionalism, ability to honor warranties, and have the appropriate licenses and liability coverage to serve you. Waddles Heating and Cooling, a business conducted by Charlie and Elaine Waddle and their son Bruce, residents of rural Kip, as well as many other committed employees, make customer service their top priority. So we've talked a little bit about programming. As we get into the summer months, what are some programs that are available through Parents as Teachers and through CAPS that parents can access, maybe to even supplement or replace the swimming pool and all of the different things that kids just aren't going to have access to this summer? Lori?
Here at CAPS, again, we're going to continue our services like we have been, and we will start implementing face-to-face visits again with families and providing parenting education opportunities in a one-on-one circumstance. But we've learned that we can provide parenting classes in a webinar setting. And so we have not been doing parenting classes during the summer for the last 4 or 5 years. And we're going to offer some web-based parenting classes that families can sign up for and participate in. We just did our first 2 during the month of May and had some real success in that. It's a kind of an intimate group because a lot of you get a lot of one-on-one attention that way. I think we had 7 participants enroll in each one of those classes. And it's with our former counselor at Southeast Saline, Rex Kearley, who is a parenting educator now at CAPS. And he just does an incredible job of helping families look at what's going on within their own homes, focusing on the strengths of what's taking place there, and then helping just give them some ideas of different ways that they can help motivate their children, maybe change routines. Maybe they just need some help in figuring out, how do I set a schedule? Maybe that's not been something that they've ever really thought about before. So Rex does a really nice job of that. We also do that for families that speak Spanish, and that class will be starting on Monday. So those are available to sign up for on our website and our Facebook page, which is capsofsalina.org. And we have a lot of contact information there. If you can't find what you're looking for, you can sure email staff directly and ask questions. You can call the office. We've had somebody manning the phones the whole time. That number is 785-825-4493.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
Linnell, how is programming through parents and teachers working over the summer, and what are you and you work with Joy Bircher. She
Yes.
also works with families too.
Yes.
So what are you and Joy planning for the summer?
Right now, because of the, I guess, different messages that we're getting from different places, we are going to continue doing virtual visits during the summer months until we know in August what the school is actually going to decide to do. We're not sure if we're ready to put masks on and go into a home and look completely different with preschoolers, where when we do virtual visits, we look the same. We see them, they see us, we can get as close to the screen as we want to get. So our plans right now for summer months are just to continue doing the visits with the families that we have enrolled, and doing them on Zoom, and then see what happens in the fall, see what happens. Generally, we start our story times at the Gypsum Community Library the first Friday after Labor Day. So depending on how things look, we hope to get that started, hope to get some things scheduled at the zoo on Saturday mornings. We'll just play it by ear.
Okay. I have a few questions that are directly related to the face-to-face Zoom meetings that you're having. So I want to ask those to you in a minute, Linnell, but before,
Okay.
I want to talk about Lynchburg Community Hospital and the preparation that they've been through to meet the needs of the community it serves moving forward. And according to Administrator Larry Vanderwig, the Southeast region of Saline County is included in the medical community at Lynchburg Community Hospital with representatives serving on the hospital board. The Lynchburg Community Hospital is a subsidiary of Salina Regional Health Center. Currently, no visitors are allowed in the hospital with patients, except for with minors and individuals with disabilities. Updates on visitor policy will be published on the Spotlight's Facebook page. So Linnell, the programming that you offer is available to any family in the school district of USD 306 with children preschool age and under. And so how do families get involved in that?
Families just need to request services. They can either call the district office, or they can reach me with the school district email address and request services. And then I get in touch with them and we fill out the paperwork and we get started.
And these services are absolutely free of charge. They're
Absolutely
available.
free. Yes.
And they're for everyone. They're not
That's right.
intended to be an intervention program for somebody that is high risk or has high need. We had parents as teachers at our house for 8 years straight. We were lucky we had some prenatal that started. We had a little grant initially in the district when I was pregnant with Madeline, who just graduated. And it was so fun. Linnell just sent her a graduation card with a worksheet that she completed with her when she was 27 months old. And it was so cool to go back and kind of reflect on that time. But every 6 weeks, Linnell would come to our house and bring activities. And it was a time that we looked forward to just kind of reset and refocus and think about our child's development. So it's not invasive. It's not I don't know. Some people feel afraid about having people come into your home, but I would highly encourage that participation.
Well, and for anyone who might feel afraid about people coming in to the home, right now is a perfect time to get involved, it looks to me like, with parents as teachers, because there's this scale back where they're just coming into your home through a screen. And so you can develop those relationships and see what that service looks like, what Linnell brings to the family. And if that's something that you see as positive, you can continue that after we go back to face. But at least now during these summer months, it's not quite as invasive because it's just an online format. I mean, it can't be, it's no different than watching television, except for this is a local person who, 13 years later, 15 years later, when your child graduates from high school, is going to be able to send your child a worksheet that they did when they were 27 months old. I mean, I don't know any television programming that can do that. Okay. Well, thank you, Linnell. And so call the district office, and the district office, which is southeast of Saline,
Yes.
can help to connect people with the Parents as Teachers program. Lori,
Yes.
you had mentioned that people can get online to access some of these parenting classes that are happening online. What does that process look like to sign up? And what are the results that CAPS is hoping to see from that programming?
So it's just a really easy Google form that you fill out right on our Facebook page. And there's a link to that. I need to get as soon as we get the new dates scheduled. I don't have the summer dates firm yet, but as soon as that happens, that will be put out onto our website as well. But you just fill that out, and then you'll get a Zoom link directly from the educator with details about when the class will start and how they interact with the educator. So our goals always is just that parents learn something. Parenting is the hardest job anyone will ever have, and there's not an instruction manual. So it's not like every child, if you do A, B, C, D, you will end up with a successful citizen when they're 22 years old and a graduate of college, or a successful employee in the workforce. So for us, it's just really trying to equip parents with a lot of different tools in their toolkit, because you have to use them all. The key to that is being consistent in the way that you deal with your children, and so that they know what to expect. To learn how to use natural consequences as a teacher, and not create forced punishments, and how exploration is the best way to learn, and those experiences that we have in life. So it depends on kind of what the parent is looking for. We have some broad subjects like the Incredible Years, which is geared towards parents of children ages 2 to 8, and talking about how you play to create relationships with your child. And so it's a nice time to think about that right now, when you do maybe have more time at home together than you would otherwise. And Rex does a great job of giving you examples and ideas of what that looks like. If you're like, well, I'm not a creative person, I can't create things for my children that way. He has some great ideas to do that. But we also have classes that are very specific. We just finished one up on how to parent cooperatively if you're divorced parents. That's something that nobody ever envisions themselves in. And again, it's not something where there's a handbook or a manual that tells you how to do that the right way. But we have some educators here who have some curriculum on good practices and ideas that you can use in order to keep your child healthy, and maybe not focus on your former partner's faults or weaknesses and the way you view that, but really keeping the child in the center, and keeping them separate, because the reality is if you're divorced, that your former spouse is the parent of your child. And so keeping that healthy development and that healthy growth is really important for everything that we do here at CAPS. And So our educators are talking with families all across Saline, Ottawa, and Dickinson counties on how to do that.
And so these specific classes people can find on your website too?
They're not there right now because we haven't finalized the plan for the summer ones. We just finished those up in May. And so Vicki and Rex are putting together a plan for when those next ones will be offered. So as soon as that's out there, if you're a follower on our Facebook page, we put things out every single day on that. I think that's the best way to stay up to date and have new information is to follow us at Child Advocacy and Parenting Services on Facebook. But then once that happens, it will be on our website. So it's just, if you just keep checking back there, if there's nothing there, then you know that there's not a current schedule. But once one is available, that's where we post it.
Okay. Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
Linnell, I really didn't give you an opportunity to talk about what results you hope to see through your programming, but my understanding of Parents as Teachers is that it's very similar to what Lori's describing as in CAPS. I mean, this isn't you enjoy going in and working with kids, but you're really helping parents to be able to engage with their kids. And so what's the goal? What's the mission? What are your hopes after working with families?
Well, the play is very much a part of it, because what we bring in for activities, or what I'm now having parents gather up for an activity so that I can do a virtual visit, is all play-based. And so we are, depending on the age of the child, we are having the parent play a game with the child or do some type of activity with the child that is going to promote the development for the age of that child. So if that child is just learning to get around and laying on their belly and very close to getting up on their knees to go get something, then the activity is going to be something that is going to motivate the child to get up and move and start crawling. If the child is starting to walk, then we're going to do an activity that will promote that walking and to get up and get down. And then we go up to the 2 and 3-year-olds who are learning independence. And so the activity is going to be something that's going to capture their attention for a few minutes, maybe manipulate something, maybe putting shapes in something, maybe playing with a green box and scooping and pouring, developing some language skills. So the end result goal is that we have children that are ready to go to school. We have 5-year-olds that are ready to learn, ready to go to kindergarten.
And it sounds to me like a piece of that goal is really empowering parents to be a part of teaching. So the parents are teaching along that way, along the way through birth to school, so that those kids are hitting those milestones along the way through different play activities.
Yes, yes. The majority of our brain development happens in the first 3 years of life, and then it is refined from then on. So if we can get parents involved in helping their children learn and hitting those milestones, that child is on the way to a successful school career.
I can see that. I want to thank you both for being on Face to Face in the spotlight today. I think I still come back to just what a blessing it is to have professionals in our community. I think sometimes just knowing that when I need help and I want to reach out and ask for help, it feels safer if the people I'm asking help from are people I know and already respect and love me. And so I hope that by sharing this information today and just being face to face with folks today, that they can see that these programs are available and maybe could be helpful during the summer months. So thank you for being on the show today.
And I'd like to also say everything that we do is free. There's no charge. So if a financial commitment is something that scares you, that everything that we do is either funded through grants or local contributions. So there's no fee for our services. Or parents as teachers either. That's
No
something
fee,
provided
no fee for us
by the
either.
school district.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Lori, and thank you, Linnell, for sharing the services you provide. And thank you, those of you who have watched Face to Face in the Spotlight. And I ask that you tune in next week for another episode at 5 on Friday.